there, it's Doc's Market Minute for Thursday, July 2nd. I'm looking at the S&P 500, and so far today, a couple hours into the trading day, it looks like we're giving up the highs and we're printing a shooting star candlestick, and this is not surprising because I don't think anybody really wants to be too long into this weekend with the Greek referendum. So there's two real outcomes from this. We have talked about this many times. We sort of framed in the price action around this area here. If the price breaks above 2080, and especially if it gets above 2100, but first of all, the first step is 2080, then probably we're going to see some version of a V-bottom, very similar to what we had perhaps back here in November, where we had a very quick dip down and then an equally strong, if not stronger, V-bottom from this. So this has been the nature of the market over the past couple of years. We haven't really seen it change all that much. Most of these bottoms have been very violent. Even the smaller ones down here are getting reversed very quickly. So that's obviously if some kind of certainty comes back to the market where maybe the country of Greece comes to its senses and they work out some kind of a deal, then you'll see certainty back into the market. At least we've kicked the can down the road, which is a bigger issue that we'll have to deal with at some point here. But if Greece decides to take the poison pill, then more than likely we're going to see the bottom end of this range tested, if not a breakdown below this. So what we need to watch for is the futures market on Sunday night. On Sunday night when it opens up at 6 o'clock Eastern, to see how we're going to be dealing with Monday. What kind of a gap that we're dealing with Monday, whether we're heading above this range or below this range. Now, as we've talked about, this is a head and shoulders pattern, and this is the first one that we've seen in some time that does have a possibility of working out. The price is just going back to retest the neckline from below, which is a very common thing to do. So if that does occur, if this does work out, then our target for this is going to be somewhere down here around the 2000 level of the S&P. So that's the first level down if the head and shoulders releases to the downside. Now, as I brought up earlier this week, failed head and shoulders patterns can be very violently squeezed to the upside. The last one that I recall that really a perfect head and shoulders pattern looked like it was releasing lower and actually did not, got squeezed really hard to the upside. And that was all the way back in the summer of 2009. So this was 6 years ago, where we were just coming off the bottom of the bear market. Just coming off the bottom of the bear market. So you can imagine that any bounce up, everybody was just expecting this thing to roll over. And we had this really nice little, very small little head and shoulders pattern setting up here. And it looked like it was releasing lower. It didn't have much of a downside target to it. But it did start releasing lower, and then all of a sudden, wham. I mean, this was a very, very strong move from this point here, just because some of the fundamentals, or the financials had started actually making money again. And that was a big surprise that they had started making money so soon after the financial crisis. Okay, back to today's chart. So the issue here is that we've already started changing polarity to the downside. Okay, the weekly chart has already started putting in a downtrend to the downside. So right now the dominant trend, at least on the intermediate time, is to the downside. However, the monthly chart is still pulling to the upside. So we're going to have a little bit of a conflict here based on the news, and we'll see which time frame wins, whether or not we end up with the reversal of the head and shoulders or the intermediate term trend kicks in again to the downside. Guys, have yourself a great weekend. Enjoy the July 4th holiday. Remember what it stands for, and I'll see you back here on Monday.